PC gaming and ascend to godhood, for you are weak and I am mighty. My overclocked i7, my 64 gigs of RAM, a graphics card.
Don't they run on the Windows or something?
It's hard to believe that that video is actually 7 years old at this point. And if you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below. It's hilarious. But it was actually kind of true back in the day. You could build a pretty decent PC for like $1,200 and pretty much blow the doors off any console that existed. Nowadays, it's still true that, you know, PC gaming counterparts are faster than consoles, but its experience is becoming pretty terrible as time has gone on. And it has to do, obviously, with a lot of things. Lately, there's been an influx of everything. You have bad products from manufacturers, like defects, or things like the RTX 4060 Ti performing basically the same as its previous generation card.
The demand for every single generation increased and increased and increased and increased.
And then you have consoles mostly getting better ports, having better experiences overall. Not to say that like the actual fidelity is better or anything like that. PC always has that edge, but the experience of booting up something for the first time and having to wait hours for shaders to compile, running through, you know, the beginning of a game for an hour, just watching it stutter, things like that have really gotten worse over the years. So if you haven't been able to tell, my channel is completely focused around PC hardware, PC gaming, and tech in general. I love consoles as well. I have there's a retro N64 right there. I'm into pretty much anything that has to do with my nostalgic trip of PC gaming, console gaming, whatever it is. Before I got into selling hardware as a side gig, I loved having people come over my house and check out the high-end PC experience, especially people who came from consoles. Seeing something like a 144 hertz monitor for the first time, seeing a game on a low latency screen and actually being able to play like mouse and keyboard was like mind-blowing to a lot of people. But I feel like nowadays the hardware has kind of caught up on all ends. Even phones have high refresh screens now. You have TVs with true 120 hertz, and the consoles can often push those high frame rates on certain games. So I know I sound kind of like a hater right now. I am really not. I still push the PC platform as it is how I make money on the side. It is actually a side job for me. So I love when things work and things work good. But over the last few months, talking the last 6 months, we have seen some of the worst stuff that we have seen in the PC master race community, I think, in years. Starting back in November, we had the RTX 4090 come out. It was an insane card. The value was there, but the price was way out of people's reach. People started to scalp it. We had burning connectors. Then a couple months went by, we had the RTX 4080, super bad value. We had NVIDIA try to pull a fast one on us. They put out a 4080 Baby edition, which turned out to be the 4070 Ti. A little bit later, as time has gone on, we've had all these leaks and rumors about 8GB cards and how crazy that is from NVIDIA. And sure enough, it's true. We have another 4060 Ti, which is a 3060 Ti basically. We've had barely anything from AMD. AMD has been kind of all over the place. You have like the 7900 XTX. That was a cool card. Everything else has been kind of not worth it. Jumping to the CPU side of things, on the other hand, we had awesome value from both Intel and AMD. AMD's value has only been getting better technically, but we are plagued by the recent terrible motherboard situation with Asus and kind of Gigabyte as well, with tons of voltage issues, and there's a ton of that stuff. I won't even go into it. I did a whole video on it. I'll link that down below if you want to watch it. And so between that and terrible quality, I've had to replace my own personal motherboard 4 times, which is mind-blowing to me at this point. That's a Z790. I'm on the 13th gen platform. Now, the 13th gen processors are a absolutely great value, but the fact that I've had to constantly replace this board, I've had the strangest weird like latency issues with Windows. I talked to Tech City, He even went back to 10th gen and is running DDR4 just to kind of clean up some of his latency. And the problems don't stop there. Gigabyte recently had a situation where their PCB is cracking right near the retention clip at the PCIe slot, and so you could wiggle the card or move the card, and if it flexes too much, it might actually crack right where that little clip is on the end. And Louis Rossmann first kind of uncovered this, but it's been talked about before. Northridge Fix also did a video on it about a year ago, and I personally have had 2 cards myself come through here that have had that exact problem. Then you have the actual video games. I kind of don't even know where to start, to be honest. Going all the way back to October when the first Modern Warfare came out, or Modern Warfare Roman numeral 2, that came out kind of in a messy state. It ran okay on some rigs, mostly AMD. If you had an AMD video card, you were pretty much like doing the best. All the NVIDIA cards had weird stuttering issues. I had tons of computers come through here. I had hundreds of text messages and emails or Facebook messages trying to get me to help them fix that game because it was running so poorly. Finally, the game caught up. They fixed all those issues and now it runs pretty good. But just recently, we found out that the actual game is rigged. There's a hitbox differential thing going on where if you're really good at the game, you get small hitboxes. If you're really bad at the game, you get larger hitboxes, basically evening out the playing field. Then you have these absolutely atrocious ports from console coming out. The Last of Us was a good example of one. Just terrible optimization. That game itself took 20-30 minutes for the actual shaders to compile, and it was still a stuttery mess right out of the gate. People have had a massive concern with Overwatch 2 and how they removed PvE. Then we had problems with games such as the new Saints Row that came out that was basically just a trash game. Moving on to Gollum. Gollum is on insane levels of bad. Quite literally the worst game that has come out in years. Now, I realize that some of these problems also affect consoles. It's not just PC, but the PC has been getting kind of the worst end of all of it. I recently watched a PS5 video on the Jedi Survivor game, and it ran okay. There was some stutters and stuff, but overall the performance seemed to be pretty much a locked 60 FPS. I then went and watched a bunch of videos on the RTX 4080 and 4090 and how it performed in that game, and there were drops on 1440p below 60 FPS. It was going into the 50s, it was jumping to the 40s, to the 80s.
Seaport is garbage. So this is an RTX 4090, okay? All right, we're gonna hit start. What the fuck?
It was all over the place, and the frame times were even worse. Also, the allocation of RAM, not how much it was actually using, but the allocation on a 4090 was going up to like 20 gigs, which I guess in a sense it's supposed to do that, but it just seemed crazy to me that it was running so poorly, and it had all of that memory and it has all of that performance from that card, and that just shows you if like the PS5, even though maybe it's using some upscaling techniques and, you know, it's not rendering at 100% the resolution you're playing at, it still manages to keep that frame rate pretty rock solid, whereas something as crazy as an RTX 4090 is having dips into like the 40s and 50s. Come on. So tell me what you guys think. Do you think that PC gaming is starting to go away? Are we just in a weird recession right now? That's what I hope. Do you think that hardware will get better as time goes on? Are you looking forward to the 5000 series of NVIDIA cards or the next AMD card? What is it that we need to fix what's happening right now? I know I'm just a tiny channel, but I know that people watch these kind of videos, and I think that eventually it catches up to corporate offices and people actually listen and make some changes. Anyways, that's going to do it for this one. If you liked the video, like the video, sub if you want to sub, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.